How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be ranking all 6 Jurassic Park / Jurassic World films from the worst to the best, because today actually marks, at least the day of me making this video, the 30th anniversary of the very first Jurassic Park film, which came out all the way back in 1993, which is pretty crazy that it's already been 30 years. And yeah, I just thought this would be a fun video to do, also because I haven't really talked about Jurassic World Dominion before on this channel, so it gives me the opportunity to do that. But before we get into this ranking, I do briefly need to mention, I'm going to be fairly positive about all these movies because I'm just a huge fan of this franchise. I think it just comes down to the fact I love dinosaurs, but, I do have definitely, some problems with some of these bottom films here on the ranking. But yeah, with that being said, let's just jump on into this. So starting off at number 6, my least favorite Jurassic World film is Jurassic World Dominion. I was so hyped to see this movie, and it really sucks that I have to put this at number 6 because I wanted to love this movie so much. And to be honest, it's not a horrible movie. I had a lot of fun with it when I watched it in the theater. And, there's some good moments here and there. It was really cool to see Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum all on screen together again. The first time they were all together on screen since the very first film. That was really neat. Although they don't really do that, many interesting things with these characters in this movie, which is kind of a problem. I really think they were kind of underutilized. And I really just realized that this movie's pretty goofy, right? It really is downright silly. There's a lot of just nonsensical things happening. It's way too over the top. It's trying way too hard to be just this big action blockbuster. And I really just noticed it a lot more in this movie for some reason, particularly in that scene where Chris Pratt, Owen, he's getting, chased by the raptors and I think Malta, and he's on the motorcycle. And that whole scene just felt really weird. It almost reminded me of like a James Bond film, but with dinosaurs. What? Yeah, I really disliked that scene and where he has to jump onto the plane or whatever. That was just, what are we doing? I really noticed some of the action sequences in this movie were just way too crazy and over the top. And that's kind of why I have to put this movie at the bottom. It's really just silly. I gotta say it. But, it's a popcorn flick at the end of the day, so I did still have some fun with it here and there, and yeah, but that's really all I have to say about it. It was underwhelming, and I just wish it hadn't been. And also, the ending was just unsatisfying in my opinion. They didn't do anything interesting with it, and yeah. Anyway, moving on to number 5, I have Jurassic Park III. Now, this is kind of a weird guilty pleasure film of mine. I do have some fun with it again. And I think the Spinosaurus is a cool addition in this movie, although I wish he hadn't killed the T-Rex right off the bat in the opening minutes of the movie. What was that about, This movie's really fast-paced, but kind of in a bad way. They don't really give a lot of the story elements to kind of breathe. I don't really care about that much of the new characters that are in this movie and some of their dynamics. A lot of the characters are actually acting really stupid in this movie. They are making so many dumb decisions, and yeah, some of the writing is just downright clunky. But, I do have some fun stuff with it. I think that one scene when they're in the water and the Spinosaurus is kind of, attacking them on the raft or whatever, that was pretty cool, I gotta say. I enjoyed that. And although they have that one weird scene where Alan Grant is having that dream on the plane, and then the Velociraptor says, "Alan," what is that about? What is happening? So there's some stupid stuff like that in this movie, but yeah, I don't know. There's still some fun moments, I guess. Similar to how I feel about Jurassic World Dominion, if we're being honest. Anyways, at number 4, I have Jurassic World. This is where we're starting to get into the pretty good movies, in my opinion. These are the movies that I genuinely enjoy a lot. And yeah, it's a really interesting kind of reboot, this movie. It's a very intriguing direction to kind of take the franchise where you have the park actually be a functional park and, actually have guests. It was really cool to see that. The Indominus Rex is, of course, a really awesome, I guess, antagonist, you could say. And there's some really cool moments with that. And I really like the introduction of Owen's character. I think he's cool. And Claire, also, I think she's a decent character. They're probably at their best in this movie, those two characters, in my opinion. And yeah, there's just some cool moments, especially where the kids find the abandoned, kind of museum that was in Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, and that was kind of cool to see. Or the visitor center, I think it's called, with all the vines and the overgrowth. That was actually really kind of goosebump inducing. I gotta be honest, because it was just really cool to see that place again after all those years. And yeah, it's a fun movie. I really liked it. It was really cool. I think a lot of the CGI was pretty good as well for the most part, which maybe some of the other Jurassic World films, the CGI doesn't necessarily always look good. There's a few moments where it can be kind of questionable. But yeah, really good stuff overall. Anyways, at number 3, I have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. A little bit of a hot take, I feel like, to put Fallen Kingdom above the first Jurassic World. But I really enjoyed this movie. I saw it 3 times in the movie theater. Why? I don't know. I have problems, I think. But I really loved the horror aspects of this movie, particularly the stuff in the third act at the Lockwood Manor with the Indoraptor. And the Indoraptor's really creepy and really great. I think he's probably better than, or I guess, is it a female? Probably the Indoraptor's better than the Indominus Rex, if we're being honest. And that also might be a hot take. But I just think the horror factor, it feels almost more human-like. And that one scene where it kind of reaches into the bed with its big, claws was just really creepy. I think there's some good stuff, though, with the island and the volcano kind of erupting as well. I think there's some good moments in the gyrospheres when they have to plummet into the ocean. That was intense. Love that scene as well. And I think it was also cool to see Jeff Goldblum reprise his role, even if it was just for a brief kind of cameo, if anything. And the ending of this movie just blew my mind, which is part of the reason I don't really love Jurassic World Dominion, because they don't do that much with that concept of dinosaurs kind of roaming in the world with all these other humans, obviously. I feel like they could have tackled that a bit more interestingly. And that's, ultimately one of my big problems with Jurassic World Dominion. But the ending for this film just seemed really cool and blew my mind. And I was so excited to see where things were going to go with this franchise. And yeah, as we know, somewhat disappointing. But I really love this movie. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. But at number 2, I have The Lost World Jurassic Park. The only other Jurassic Park film directed by Steven Spielberg himself, came out in 1997, and it's really good, actually. I do love this one. I know some people have some problems with it. My main negative with this movie, if I had to pick a negative, is simply the pacing. I don't think the pacing's that good in this movie. And I actually remember as a kid watching this film being kind of bored by its pacing. It does take a second for the movie to really get going, in my opinion. But once it does, you have some great moments, like the scene where the T-Rex kind of invades the camp, and of course where the research trailer, I think it's called, is kind of dangling off the cliff, and they're all in there and the glass is about to shatter, and super intense. I love that scene, and it was really, really cool. And, a lot of people also have issues with the third act taking place in San Diego and how it doesn't really need to be a part of the movie and it kind of becomes like a stupid monster movie. I do kind of understand those criticisms, but at the same time, I think it's kind of fun. I don't know. It is a little goofy and over the top, which is definitely where the series continues to go down that path, where things are kind of over the top. But it was still fun. I don't know. That was kind of like our first glimpse at something truly being a little wacky with the T-Rex parading through the streets of San Diego. But it was fun. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say. But yeah, I do like this one a lot. I think Jeff Goldblum's really great in it as the lead, because obviously he's not like the lead character really in the first Jurassic Park, but in here he's, 100% the lead. And it was good. I enjoyed it. But at number 1, of course, I have the first Jurassic Park. This is a masterpiece. Simply put, it's a masterpiece. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's like a top 5 movie, if we're being honest. It's majestic, and it really captures the amazement and wonder of seeing dinosaurs for the first time. And you don't really get that in any of the other movies. John Williams' score is obviously fantastic, and it's, fantastic throughout the rest of the franchise, I suppose, but it hits the hardest in this movie in particular, and it felt real. This movie felt real. It didn't feel crazy or goofy or, just these action sequences that feel like they should be in a James Bond movie. It felt like genuine reactions and, genuine predicaments that would happen, if dinosaurs and humans were to interact. And the dinosaurs aren't really acting like monsters, they're just acting like animals. And that's what a lot of people like to say about this movie. The dinosaurs, are just kind of acting like, chill animals for the most part. Well, chill. I don't know about chill, but you know what I mean. They're not vicious creatures, something like the Indominus Rex or the Indoraptor, but, I think both can kind of work. I think seeing the terror that the Indominus Rex brings and, the Indoraptor and some of the a bit more over the top stuff is somewhat cool at moments, but yeah, I do kind of like the realism that this movie sets for the most part, and it's great. I love it. It's also very philosophical. Humans are kind of playing God, and that's what I loved about the Jurassic Park book as well. There's some good stuff in the book that kind of talks about that, and I just think this is great. It's movie magic, this movie. It's definitely a magical experience, and it's very few movies make me feel like this movie does. It just reminds me of like, oh, so that's what movies are. You know what I mean? Like, that's what real movies are like. And there's very few films that just remind me of like, okay, I get it. Because there's just so many bad movies out there. But there you guys go. That's kind of my brief ranking of all 6 films. Let me hear your ranking of all the Jurassic Park and World films down in the comments. I'm super curious to see what you guys have to say about it, and all your opinions, of course, because I'm sure we'll have some differing opinions here and there. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this franchise. I really am. Although I think it probably should be put to rest. I really don't want Jurassic World 4, if we're being honest. I think it needs to end. And even though Dominion was kind of an underwhelming conclusion, I think it needs to be put to rest. But yeah, there you guys go. Post your thoughts and comments down below. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my Letterboxd and Twitter down in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.